The summer 2025 anime season just won't quit. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my first impressions reaction to Clevatess. And yeah, this is one that has kind of almost come out of nowhere for me. Because while I've talked about before how the summer 2025 anime season has been just jam-packed with so many hit series, so many new ones, so many returning shows that have just gotten huge attention, this season is like so insanely stacked with shows. It's just, and I've talked about this before, I'm not gonna like rant about it again here or anything, but it's so aggressively better than like any other anime season in previous memory. Like, it's so far above and beyond, and I have no idea how they managed to do this, how so many studios managed to put out so many big hits in one season. But Clevatess is a show that, like I said, kind of snuck up on me. Because I had heard the name Clevatess as a series, like, very briefly online, but I wasn't, like, hearing about it. And then all of a sudden, within, like, the past 2 weeks, everywhere. And I don't know why. Maybe something happened in the series that, like, just really got people talking. But, like, I've seen people talking about it on every social media platform, and I've seen, I think, one specific clip on TikTok over and over again. It's the clip of some, like, busty, red-haired woman, like, nursing a child, and it's, like, accompanied usually by lines of, like, oh, this anime is peak, or this is, like, the hit anime of summer 2025, and stuff like that, and I haven't really watched the clip, like, I've just kind of scrolled past it. But I'm thinking, like, what is this about? If it's like we're seeing some, like, busty, redheaded woman in, like, what appeared to be rags nursing a child, it's like, and people are saying this is a peak anime. Is it just because she's busty? But no, it's like people would say, people would joke about that, but it wouldn't be everywhere like this. And people wouldn't be, like, praising this series on all social media for this. So it's got to be something else. And again, just within the past couple weeks, I've heard people just, like, raving about this series. But again, I have not looked up as to why, because I like to remain spoiler-free. So it's just like, what the hell is going on? What is the summer anime season, the summer 2025 anime season? What the fuck was put in the water over in Japan to make these anime studios just pump out this much quality? It's just like, I genuinely don't understand. I'm not complaining because it gives me a lot to check out, and even if I don't end up liking something as much, it's like, at least I'm checking it out. At least I get to find out for myself, and it still appeals to a lot of people. Like, even if it's not my thing, if a lot of people still love it, that's still awesome. That still shows how big it's become. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what this is. The title doesn't tell me much of anything either. Clevatess? No idea what that is, what that means. It could mean anything. It could be the name of a character. It could be the name of a location. It could be one of those anime names that don't really have a meaning but just sounds cool. I don't know. But you know, it's like, there's another anime from this season that's, like, getting really hit rave reviews, and it's like, I gotta check it out. I gotta at least give it a shot, right? I have no clue what this is about in any way, shape, or form. Because, like I said, I've just heard people raving that it's really good without any details. Which I'm happy for. I'm happy that I haven't gotten spoiled in any way. Outside of, again, that one clip I've scrolled past on TikTok time and time again. Don't know why TikTok keeps recommending it to me, because I never stop on and watch it, but whatever. It just keeps popping up. Maybe just because I'm like into anime, and maybe it's like just, oh, this is tagged for anime. Let's show you this. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I do watch like quite a few anime like clips on TikTok here and there, so maybe that's the reason. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The funny thing is, like when I first saw the title, I thought it was spelled differently. I thought it was like Clevatess, like Cleavettess. Um, but it's Clevatess. It's Clevatess. So it's like I actually thought it was like the first time I heard about it, I thought it was like about cleaver or something. Like maybe it was like a weapon name. I could see that being like cleaving, cleaving something in half. Um, I don't know. But yeah, I have no clue what to expect from this series. I'm just excited to check something else out and hopefully have something else to add to the rotation in the future. Let's give it a shot, see what this is about. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. You want to see a real dark beast? Look at this evil monster, aren't you? Aren't you an evil monster? Aren't you? You have no idea what's happening right now. You are so confused. You want me to let you lay down again? You want me to leave you alone? Okay. Well, this was a thing. I didn't realize going into this that this was going to be a double length opener. There's various anime that have that where it's a longer opening episode, really trying to hammer in like the plot and a lot of things. And that's fine. I have no issue with that. It's just I didn't know going into this that it was going to be like that. So, kind of caught me off guard a little. But no problem. No issue at all. This is interesting because hold on. Sorry. Just had to readjust myself there. This was interesting because it seems like this series is going to get like pretty dark at times, having a lot of violence, blood, murder stuff. Plus some pretty crazy, probably topical stuff in relation to like the politics of this world and the different races and countries within this continent of Edea, I believe it was. So I think we're going to touch on a lot of that heavier stuff. But there's also a certain level of almost light-hearted comedy to it, with Clevatess taking the form of a humanoid as Clen. And like trying to take care of this baby and everything, and obviously there's going to be the aspect of like raising this child until it becomes old enough to become king, as we now know. And that there's a lot of interesting aspects to this that I was not really, well, I mean, I wasn't ready for much of anything, because again, all I knew of this series was like of that one clip I had like briefly caught wind of just by scrolling through TikTok. Again, I didn't even really watch the clip. I just saw it very briefly while scrolling. And it's just like, it was just some red-haired chick who wasn't even in this, wearing what looked like rags, nursing the child, who I assume is Luna here. We didn't get, I guess, like, I guess I don't really know that for sure, but I assume it's Luna. And again, I just scrolled really quickly past, so I don't think I saw any other characters. So yeah. Uh, Going into this though, I had no idea what the plot was in any way. I had no idea like about any characters otherwise, and I didn't know what to expect even with the tone or style of this. So yeah, it was very blind and fresh for me, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. Like the action was pretty good. It was pretty like respectfully violent, like in a way that made sense, you know? And I like the kind of like almost humorous edge to it, with just the almost absurdity of the fact that this Beast Lord is taking care of this Edenian child in this humanoid form. It's really fascinating, honestly. And it's probably going to lead to quite a bit of really interesting moments, I would wager. But what's even more interesting is like the people of Athea, whatever the fuck it's called, the continent, um, wish to like expand beyond it. Of course, we know this, to the wider world, but it's surrounded by these dark beasts who, for some reason, don't come into Athea. For some reason, I don't know. It never really said. Usually they don't. They stick to their own land. Athea is usually like protected from them, from what we can tell. But they are able to come in. I guess just a lot of the dark beasts, like I guess they have defenses maybe around the border that can like help take out a lot of the dark beasts or something. I don't know. And the lords just don't usually come this far. Um, Clevatess coming all the way into the kingdom of Haiden, I think is how it would be pronounced, was, I guess, abnormal and everything. But it's interesting too because Clevatess was talking about like just protecting his land and his beasts and everything, and like making very clear that the Edenians, the humankind, basically attacked them first, which is a really interesting like view on it. That these beasts, one, can speak, that they do have some semblance of like intelligence, or at least the lords do. But two, we also have the fact that these people seem to maybe be more of bad guys than we're thinking. Like maybe the people of the continent of Athea are like, because of them feeling like they have the right to, they're trying to invade these outer lands, and the dark beasts are just protecting them from these invaders. That seems like that's a very reasonable take on it. Um, but it's very much kind of flipping the script on what a lot of these kinds of, not just anime but stories typically are. And I'm very curious as to if they're going to go even further into that. But we start with this character Alicia. That's how she actively pronounced it, so I'm going to say Alicia instead of Alicia. And Alicia is like, she starts off as this young girl who's living with her father, I guess, in these like just plain lands, nothing like special, no big city or anything. And she finds out the history of like the continent and why the maps never show anything beyond it. And so we see she ends up wanting to become the hero who's going to fulfill the legend of taking out the four the four beast lords and allowing the continent to expand in past that, allowing exploration and, just people to be able to expand their reach further outward. And so we then cut to, I would say, like, she was probably like around 10, I would wager, when she was a kid. And this is maybe 10 years later, so she's probably around 20, somewhere in that range. She's a young adult for sure. And we see after this like decade, we see at some point in the past, probably it looked like when she was a teenager, her father was killed. Um, but she survived and she ended up becoming a warrior. She ended up becoming a hero, which apparently is a title. And so she's been training for this and eventually was gifted one of these special weapons from the king. I can't remember the name of the stone right now. But apparently only the royal family of Edenia know how to forge it, and they had a special forge for such. So that's interesting in and of itself. We're definitely going to learn more about that as we go along. But these weapons are made from it, and they allow the users to have like these special powers. We see at the current day, Alicia is traveling with. It said there were 13 total, so there's 12 other warriors, all of whom were gifted with these weapons. And they were sent to, try and take out Clevatess. They managed to be able to take out other dark beasts just fine, but when they actually get to Clevatess, they're all completely wiped out without even like any fight, any real like chance. She's the only one who's able to actually do anything. She damages Clevatess's horns slightly, which maybe that's why he can't like hide it when he's in his human form. Maybe she did something that keeps him from being able to hide it. That's very interesting to think about. But even she gets defeated. She gets her leg chopped off, her eye like cut out, and that's all that seems to happen to her though, compared to the others who like get their heads like sliced off or their bodies completely twisted and mangled. Like her wounds are technically survivable. I think the only reason she died is because she bled out. Like honestly, like her wounds were technically survivable. She just had no way to heal or to, tend to them in that moment, so she bled out. We see Clevatess go back to the kingdom of Hyden, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it. I would have to hear the dub to know for sure. But he destroys the entire capital city and castle, kills the king, just wipes it all out. But as he's leaving, apparently that was the ruins of the castle still. This woman asks him to look after this baby. And never says, like, explicitly why, but it's just like, oh, this baby will prove to you, like, what humanity can be and stuff. And so, kind of, like, beyond even his understanding, Clevatess agrees to take the baby and agrees to raise it to adulthood to see if it, like, can prove to him what humanity can be. He tries to take care of it, but realizes that's not going to work, so he resurrects Alicia, because he could just do that. And basically, at first he wants her to, like, act fully as a mother to feed the baby. Even, like, literally mind controlling her to force her to strip. But it's like, why isn't there any milk? It's like, I can't do that. I'm a virgin. And he's like, virgins don't produce milk? It was a silly scene. A tiny bit fan servicey, but not that bad compared to a lot of other anime. Like, obviously, we saw, like, her underbreasts, but I've seen a lot worse in anime. This was not that bad. And honestly, it did serve the purpose of the story, too. Which I've always said that if fan service can serve the purpose of the story and actually, like, work narratively for the series, that's fan service being done right. Because, like, there's so many shows out there that do fan service and, like, just purely for the sake of horny. And a lot of times it can be very distracting to the series and very distracting to, like, the plot and everything going on. And can even actively destroy characters and whatnot and making them nothing but that. But when you have, like, a series that actually integrates the fan service into things in a logical, like, realistic way, realistic used in, like, light terms here, obviously, because of fantasy bullshit, but you get what I mean. That's the kind of fan service that I think is the best way to utilize that. It's like it's still fan service. It's still absolutely fan service. But it's being done in a way that's, good, that's respectful, that's well handled. That's the kind of fan service I can get behind. And so he ends up, like, working with Alicia, even taking human form to go find a wet nurse and basically to just take care of this baby until he can grow up and become king now. Because, well, that comes in later after she reveals that he's royal blood and everything after seeing the crest on the swaddling blanket, but still. So yeah, very interesting premise here, very interesting, like, concepts. And I'm very curious as to where it's going to go, because at the end we see they're captured. They are knocked out by these barbarians, these bandits, and captured and, like, taken as slaves, it looks like. So that's fun. That's going to be interesting. Also, it was very interesting that Clevatess was able to be knocked out like that. I'm very curious about that. And I wonder if if Alicia was able to be knocked out because Clevatess was beforehand. Like, Alicia, I wonder is only if she's only invulnerable to stuff like that, while Clevatess is, active and everything. Or if maybe, like, damaging Clevatess's horn also somehow damaged his powers to some degree. It's very interesting to think about, and there's a lot of character and world building we're going to definitely delve into in this series. Um, but yeah, I'm very, very curious to see how this goes. This is absolutely something I'm going to continue to react to in the future. And I just don't know when it's going to be. Because for those of you who are watching, I forgot to mention this in the pre-thoughts, I realize. But for those of you who are watching and don't understand what a first impression reaction is, basically it's something I do on the channel where I check out the first episode of a series and determine if I want to continue reacting to it in the future, watching it on my own time, or if it's just not something I'm interested in. And in this case, I am deciding to continue reacting to it in the future. I can't promise when that's going to be. It's going to be at some point. It could be sooner, it could be later. It just depends on a lot of different factors, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of different things that are going to, like, kind of go into that. So I can't promise anything, but we'll handle it as we go. We will definitely be getting back to it, though, and I'm definitely excited to see what more this series has in store. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this first episode of Clevatess in the comments below. And I would also, like, love to hear, like, what are your thoughts on kind of the blending of tones to this? The more serious, intense, even a little bit scary tone of a lot of the action and the dark beasts and everything, mixed with kind of the sillier, almost, like, cutesy tone of Clevatess becoming, like, humanoid and, working to help raise this baby and everything. Let me know your thoughts below, but no spoilers. Do not spoil me for the future of this based on like the original source material or just future episodes. Do not spoil me. I wish to remain as blind going forward as I have been already. So, yeah, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.